Hello, everyone. So, thank you for joining for our podcast episode. So, I'm Balavishnu, the author of The Retention Code. Here, we speak about the importance of retention, even though retention doesn't show up as a line item in your balance sheet or profit and loss. It is very much important for a company that wants to scale, especially for services industry. If you think that it is only enough by just doing delivery you can scale, you may be wrong, because I have an experience of a decade running a company, and my learning is that you also need retention to scale in the long run. So with that, we also have our guest, Mr. Zunder, today, who has over 3 decades of experience in the IT industry. He is here to share some of his insights with us. Welcome, Mr. Zunder, for the podcast. Thank you for accepting our invite.
Yeah, thanks, Bala. Thanks for having me in this. Good to know about your effort on the retention code, and I think it's an important one, though, as you said, it's not a much appreciated one by many people. Yeah, good to know that you are on that journey.
Thank you. So, can you please tell the audience a bit about your journey, your experience, and what
Yeah, actually,
through in
retention for me, it's been, I think companies have found me easy to retain me. In that sense, I have been a one company person throughout for the first 22 years of my career. I joined Integra Microsystems, and then which from there we spinned out Jetayu, and Jetayu merged with Bharati Telesoft. Bharati Telesoft became Comviva, and Comviva kind of became, it was part of the Tech Mahindra group. It became Mahindra Comviva, and then back to Comviva now. So, 1994, I joined Integra, and 2015, when I left, I would say, Mahindra Comviva, I was the CTO there, and I thought I should do something on my own, and that was the reason I quit. So, all my life, I have been building products, and in the process, building people also, I would say. And more than I kind of say building people, I learned a lot from people around me, and people, has been my greatest asset so far. Even when running the company here, the relationships that I established through the last 3 decades are the only relationships that has made me come here and given me the confidence that I can sail through any, I would say, any ups and downs. Okay, so that's the in brief the summary.
Wonderful, sir. So, I think you have around 2 decades of corporate experience and a decade of an entrepreneurial experience at Open Tough, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Wonderful. Great to hear that, sir. So, I'm curious, over last 3 decades, what has changed in the way that people stay or leave a company? I'm sure 30 years back, the factors were different, and now it is different. Can you give some observations regarding that?
Yeah, I think earlier it was more of I would say loyalty and a necessity based thing. When we join work, we need the stability, loyalty, and I would say it's more of a necessity driven thing coming from the backgrounds that we come from. That was kind of thought of as a high, I would say, quotient, the quotients that help individuals as well as the organizations. I think people are moving to, I would say, more of challenge based things. If they are not, I would say, challenge in what they do, and if they are not given the freedom to exercise that challenge, I think they see out. So we had the constraints, I would say earlier, that one of the economic constraints which kind of made us view some decisions, and we had some things like loyalty, whether right or wrong, I'm not sure, but that helped us sail through something. But I think nowadays it's more, I'm not saying loyalty or the other things have gone away, but people are looking for more of a challenging role in what they do, and I would say, they respect their individual spaces and freedom more. So that's the change I think. Earlier we were of what the organization asks for, but now the organizations, I would say, has to walk I would say midway to meet the people that they work with, right? I would say it's not top down. It's more of a shared vision, more coming in, and it is necessary to have that top down slightly laid down a bit to accommodate everyone is what I see. So that's my view of things. So from, I would say, where loyalty and other things play a role. Now challenge is more important. What challenge? How can you challenge the individual to see how they can grow faster? The speed also they consider it as one thing, and the variety, they demand a lot of variety, I would say. But earlier the variety was not of much importance. I mean, we had kind of focus towards depth more, but here I think the breadth is playing a more important role. Right or wrong, I do not know, but that's what I see.
Very, very nicely put, sir. So I think 30 years back, it was more of loyalty, stability, necessity, and they were more accommodative to whatever the organizations said or felt. But now people expect more of challenges and they need a free space for them to grow, and they expect fast growth, and they also expect a variety. It's not like if it is .NET, they don't want to go only deep in .NET. They also want to explore various other tech, right? So
Yeah, that's true.
wonderful, very nicely, right? So next thing, sir, say, looking back, is there any leadership decision which you took in your early career, be it in open turf or be it in your corporate journey, that unintentionally increased attrition? Meant good and implemented something, but it kind of backfired and some people started leaving. Did that happen? If yes, did it teach you anything?
No, unfortunately, I mean, I was, I was in, I would say, pretty decent setups which accommodated people's growth a lot, right, and which cared for the people as people a lot. And I cannot think of anything that kind of created an avalanche. On the contrary, there were, initiatives that were taken in all the organizations. I mean, that I kind of where people, I mean, like people are treated with great respect and care. So I mean, I do not have that kind of experience where the kind of attrition, it's something that really triggered an attrition.
Good to know, sir. Good to know. So good to know that you have always been compassionate, respectful, and there was nothing like that. So very good. So thank you for sharing that. And so one more thing which I'm more curious about, this is more like an industry trend question. You know, over the last 5-7 years in IT industry, we have been hearing a lot of news about layoffs and things like that, especially in big firms. Say whenever there is some small geopolitical issue or AI coming into picture, whenever they want to show more profits in the next quarter, the first thing they do is cut the manpower. 1,000 people laid off, 10,000 people laid off. And even we hear some disturbing news from big companies like Microsoft that they have fired some people who have worked for nearly 25 years in their organization. So is this the right approach? Do you agree that this is very necessary as a listed company, or do you think there are other alternative approaches that they could try? What is your thoughts?
I think I have a very different take. I have always had a very different take on this. I mean, it is, I mean, I kind of take it on the individual to be insured against these things, not individual dependent on the organization completely and give their I mean, life and souls to the organization. While they may do great work professionally, one of my mentors, I mean, even 30 years back, even now I am very close to him. He says, Zunder, work is the only relationship we both share, right? I mean, there is nothing else we share. Work is, I mean, we may be friends, but when it comes to work is the only relationship that shares. I mean, I feel individuals have to safeguard against these things. They have to continuously learn and they have to be prepared for anything. I mean, in a organization context, right? I mean, the first thing that I mean, another mentor told me is when we think we are great, right? He'll just say nobody is indispensable, right? I mean, there is nothing, there is no chair that is can be said that is indispensable. And the second, the corollary to that, he always said is, I mean, you grow when you make yourself dispensable, not indispensable. You grow when you make yourself dispensable. So I feel the continuous learning is the only insurance an individual has to have every time. Yeah, I mean, it's good to do a dipstick, get the market value, see really, it's not need to go, I mean, or anywhere, but it's always be prepared. I mean, I mean, there is a nice, I mean, Tamil quote, but I like, I would say, translate into English, right? A bird sits on the branch, not because of the strength of the branch, but because of the strength of its wings. So it can fly anytime. So it doesn't matter whether the branch breaks, it can fly, right? So that's how I visualize every individual should prepare themselves, right? So that's the way I see. So blaming organizations have to, I mean, they have answerable to me. Earlier I used to think, why are these guys doing this? But if you look kind of introspect and look at yourself, I mean, they are answerable to a very different set of people that only you will know when you get there. So it's not, blaming them will be easy, but when you look at the mirror, what could I have done better? That's the answer to how this, I would say, layoffs can. And it's married. You should be married to your profession, not to the company. That's what I would say.
Very nice perspective, Zunder. So, as an individual, it's always important they invest in continuous learning and they keep skilling and think like how I can add more value. So they become very core part of the company that the company cannot afford to fire, right? So, like that's a
Even if it fires, he'll find another. I mean, he or she will find another one in seconds. Like that's the way. That's why you kind of. It's like you are so confident on your skills and the way you have built your skills. So yeah, there may be some temporary surf, but you will bounce back.
so now coming to open turf. So, do you remember first time, say like 9, 10 years back, first time a key employee left Open Tough for any reason? How was the feeling? Was it scary or what was the feeling? And how did you react to it?
I mean, open turf has an interesting model. Everybody is virtual, right? I mean, so I'm the only person who comes to office, right? So it's like I think open turf in that sense, right? There are a couple of I would say very experienced people, 20-25 plus people, apart from the founder Sriram, who work with me, and they have been working with me for the past 20 years or so. And so it's like more a relationship based thing. So it's, I mean, it's like in that layer, that's more like your family. We all know each other, and it's like I mean, that layer is insulated from many things, so we don't even worry. The next layer is the people who have taken a break and coming back to work. This we call as the I would say the project or the program management layer. They are happy because that gives them a healthy work-life balance to what we do, and they have crossed the need for making more money. I would say, because it's not like we pay them great or anything. We pay them moderate, okay, and then they are up, but they like the balance. So that layer is the strong project management layer. The first layer, the tech layer, which has that kind of depth, and the tech layer, they are, all of them are not employed, but I can kind of I would say engage them on demand basis, and they are okay to engage because of the relationship itself. And the next layer is, I would say, people who are coming from, I would say, different parts of the country, who are not in a position to relocate to I would say cosmopolitan or a metropolitan, but they are happy with what they are getting, and the learning that kind of they get is significant from where they are. So I think so far the attrition has been very less in open turf. And to answer your very specific question, have we felt somebody going bad or somebody felt going left a gap? Yeah, it would be a temporary gap, but it has been filled because there are systems and processes in place that will fill the gap, and we are happy about people going because this becomes a launch pad for them. So we are I mean, if they find a better program, we do take into account whether they are, I mean, going for what is the reason. If they are willing to going for accelerating their place, we are more than happy to be serving it as a launch pad. And the thing is, they remember us even after they go. So that's fine. It's okay for us to be serving as a launch pad for other companies, because our size is like that, right? I mean, our size, we understand we can't retain people forever, right? That's not the size we have achieved so far, and that's not the size we will ever achieve. So it's okay with us.
So I think that's a very interesting perspective. So just curious, so this full remote, is it after COVID or even before COVID you were fully remote?
No, the organization from day one is full remote.
Oh,
There is,
okay. So even before this remote trend came, you were fully remote.
so it's worked that way. I mean, because see, for first, I mean, it's like the journey is something simple. It's till 2017, I was the only guy doing some product development, and that didn't go well. Then I moved into consulting, right? And when I saw the consulting, I could build up some contacts, and then I saw it's a good time to scale. And then, Sriram, my ex-colleague in Comiwork, came and helped scale. I take care of tech and the customers. He takes care of the people. So it's more or less he who manages the complete team in that sense, and it's been working out okay for us. Okay.
Zunder. So Sundar, so you say you're a fully remote firm, but to be honest, at Technotackle, we are also flexible. 50% people come to office, 50% they are at home, and there is no restriction who has to come, who doesn't have to come. It's flexible and people choose it. I'm also agree with what you say. But when I meet several leaders, they say that uh, remote work hinders creativity, hinders teamwork, hinders innovation, all this. So, what is your honest thoughts about that? Is it mandatory that everyone has to come inside a room for innovating, or do you think it will all happen good if you have the right systems and process?
I think my personal opinion is I would say people should come to office to work. I mean, that's my view. Okay. I mean, I'm a strong believer in, because see, it's not the I would say it's not like the systems, the processes, and other things we can build, and it's matter of time where people will adapt to it, right? I mean, my own team has adapted, and we have been successfully delivering projects across the world and repeat customers. I mean, we have very few customers, and they're all repeat customers, right? So it's not like we. But what I feel is like they are missing out a lot on the social side of things. Today, if I take a relationship of what I have, it's all built within the organizations and they are a relationship that has lasted long and that will last forever. That's I would say, and what that relationships bring to you is they kind of up your level, right? They kind of by the conversations that you have, right? A physical conversation that you have, I mean, changes an individual. Okay. That's one thing. That social circle is what people are missing. I feel that's a very, very critical social circle. I mean, what I have built around 20-25 years back, still active, strong, right? And for example, I mean, Jatayu, which I would say when Jatayu ceased to exist in 2007 when Bharti acquired us, but Jatayu was born in 2020, and last December we celebrated the 25th anniversary of Jatayu. Just even though company didn't exist, we celebrated the spirit of Jatayu. I mean, 300, the moment a WhatsApp group created was that we are going to celebrate. We got around 300 people in around just a day. We never expected. And the turnout for physical, that 25-year alumni, or 25-year Spirit of Jatayu celebration, physical meeting, more than 100 people came from across India and some from overseas also. So this happened only when you have done something together closely in contact with you, shared your frustrations and shared your achievements and the day to day, right? What a coffee conversation is more, a physical coffee conversation brings in more to the table than anything else. And I feel this is very, very necessary for first 5 years. If you are, I have been built by excellent mentors. I mean, from the place I come from, I was lucky enough to be involved with people who were far more excellent than me in all aspects, and that still stays with me. That excellence still stays with me. That desire to, I would say, achieve that excellence, right, stays with me. That's why when people see you, how you work and behave, right, that's a very different thing when you do remotely. That I think the youngsters, are missing. So I generally encourage people to come, go out and work. I have my son who is working somewhere else. I also tell him, no, go to the office. Just go to office and work. Don't stay. This remote business, just first 5 years, you build your network of people, because that's the relationships which will help you. And you never know. The power of weak connections, right? You never know how they are going to help you, right? So I feel the social connection, that of learning and other emotion sharing, is very important, which is very, very weak, I would say, in a remote setup. Though many events we try out, many, I would say, parties we try out, that connection of meeting people is really important. And when a customer calls, I say, I'll come. Okay, I feel that I'll say it's okay if you're across the city, it takes me day out, it's fine. I mean, that meeting is remembered by everyone. That's why I feel, I mean, my view, yes, there are good things in remote working, and because it enables a certain set of people to do something that they could not do earlier, right? That enablement is necessary. But if there is an option to come and work physically, I would say people should come, build that relationship, build that network, build that ups and downs in their life, talk about many things apart from work. That's how things happen.
Great, Zunder. So even though OpenDev is a remote organization, you still believe that physical work is still better when compared to remote. And one thing is, you still didn't force people to come and sit in the office, even though you are a believer of physical work, right?
Yeah, we don't force. I mean, basically, see, because I think we understand the constraints, and it's not like we also have a large fund source to build big offices, right? I mean, it works both ways for us, so that's why we are. I mean, and even a choice, given a choice, also I won't force, but I will definitely recommend if tomorrow we have an office, I'll ask people to come to office, right? I mean, that's and let me tell you, I think even though we are remote, the 4 years, I mean, last 4 years, we do our annual outing where we just shut down work for last 2 days, ask everyone to come with families. That is the memories that stays with us, right? Those memories stay with us more than the work memories, right? Those are the relationships that stay, and those are those 2 days with families out, right? That stay with everyone a lot. So that's a sure sign of why people have to meet, right? That's the thing, right?
Got
So it's simple, right? I mean, in the office, I come to a coffee or I'm meeting, somebody comes, we just share what movie you watch or what match you watch or what book you read. We exchange those notes. In a remote setup, right, it just becomes, okay, there is a daily stand-up meeting. What did you do yesterday? What did I do today? What will I do tomorrow? I would say it's very mechanical in that sense. We don't talk about, engage people on their lives about anything about work. We don't treat them as a person who is recognized beyond work. There are poets around, there are writers around, there are athletes around, right? So many people, so many things, their hobbies. We don't talk about any of them, but I mean, these things you get to talk more when you are in a physical office.
got I think that's a great perspective. Yes, thank you for sharing, Sundar. Uh, Sundar, next, what I would like to understand is, from your experience, may you know, like, what are the top three reason people want to stay in a company, and on the flip side, what are the three reasons why some people want to badly leave an organization?
I think, see, I had a model called, I would say, learning, earning, and meaning, right? I mean, so it's called LEM, I generally say, right? I mean, it really depends on what phase of life you are in, and whether, I mean, and what weights you attach to this LE and M, right? I mean, so if, I mean, nothing is wrong. It's as an individual, you decide what's more important to you at that stage of life, right? People, I would say, leave because of these three reasons only. Once, I mean, the fundamental problem is people are in my sample space, people start looking at money when they start the other two reduces, right? Meaning or learning reduces, right? And there are some people who just are focused on learning. That's okay, and I am saying nothing wrong. But majority of the people are I mean, their shoulders start shrugging once they realize that in the environment does not offer them significant aspects of the L and M, right? That's my assessment, and I have stayed because of the environments that I have been. I mean, I had the chance to have really wonderful people guiding me at all levels. I mean, I can never say I had a bad boss in my life. Okay, that's a somehow I have been grateful and I am blessed to have that. And when you start working with those kind of people, you never want to leave them. You never even think. I mean, the money offset is okay. I mean, yeah, you do real, but the other benefits you gain are really significant, right? Because they challenge you every moment. They take care of you. You know, your back is protected, right? I mean, and that really happened. I mean, I was in the first wave of COVID, hospitalized with no connectivity or anything. I was in 10 days. I mean, my family got taken care by people who are from my ex companies. My wife told you are getting so many calls. Ask them to hold on. You'll come out alive. So she just couldn't handle the number of calls she was getting from my people who have worked with in the past. They asked anything you want. So it's very difficult. I mean, that once you have worked with that kind of people. So I would say why I worked is because they always challenged me and they took care of me, and they had, their best, their interest was to see the best out of me. So if you kind of cascade that, I think people will stay with you. And this model, I think, is I have kind of I apply it everywhere. And I would say nothing is wrong. It's up to the individual to say what is important. If somebody needs money, they need money. So it's nothing wrong there. We shouldn't judge people there because they need money. Is it wrong? No, it's not wrong. It's how they attribute their weights given their life situation at that point of time.
Perfect. Zunder. I think learning, earning, meaning. So depends on the stage of life. Some need more earning and go towards that. So we just need to find the right people with the right, and they may stay with us for more. Wonderful, Zunder. So, Zunder, may I know, now that I understand the philosophy behind your strategy, may I know what are the actual strategies which you use at OpenTurf to manage the retention?
One is, I would say, from a learning, right? We are very open to learning, right? We actually pay for the courses people currently we have. Today with AI and other things, we just say you take the cloud subscription, we'll reimburse you. We don't care, right? And you say any certification you want to do, you go do it. We'll, if the certifications makes meaningful, we'll have 50-50 because we also want to have skin in the game. But eventually kind of reimburse people who get the certificates and do other things. That's one aspect of this thing. We have other programs that not are, I would say, focused on technical alone, but improving the soft skills, right? We kind of have ways where we engage with some training institutes, especially focused on women leadership and excellence for women. We have a arrangement with them where, they kind of, if you are a first time manager, what should be you doing? They have programs. If you are a first time leader, what you should be doing. So we, we are a very small company, but we have, I would say, disproportionate budget towards learning. I don't think we have ever said no to somebody who says, I want to do this, can you fund me this? We don't say, and that's part of the one of the aspects. And there is I would say there is a team which kind of drives the people excellence program. That's more of a participative team, which kind of engages the team. Somebody can outside will come and give a lecture on some specific aspects of tech. Somebody inside will share their learnings on some specific aspects. So this is continuous thing. The only underlying DNA is enable continuous learning. That's in short, that's what we do. Try to have some fun things, but I don't think they have succeeded great in remote, except for the annual thing which we do as a ritual. But the underlying thing is continuous learning. Anybody wants anything, I don't think me or Shriram I ever recall saying no. I say go ahead, right? And it's fine. It's fine as an experiment. Even if we blow up the money, it's fine. It's okay. But as long as we are gaining something, you gain something from that, it's fine. That's so continuous learning is the strongest, I would say, DNA, one of the core values of us. I think that value I can comfortably say that we emphasize and we kind of demonstrate that value as well.
Awesome, Zunder. So good to know that you mainly focus on upskilling and learning, and you take 50% of the core certification fee and reimburse it, and people are happy, and that really worked for you. So I was expecting some major strategies from you, but a simple strategy, and that too has worked for you for long 10 years.
No, we are very small in the scheme of things, and we just, it's good to stay small is good because, we can make decisions. That's fine. That's the only advantage of being small.
So one more question I wanted to ask. So this is more of like validating my assumptions. See, when I speak to some junior founders in the sense, people who have run the company for less than 5 years or just entered just started a startup in their early 20s, right? When I speak to them, one issue they say is, Bala, retaining someone is expensive. Every year we need to keep giving hikes and their salary keeps on increasing. Why do you want to pay more for the same gigs? Instead, replace him with a junior every 2 3 years so that your cost balances out. What do you think? Is this a scalable approach? Can you keep doing this forever? Or do you think there should be a balance?
No, I think, I mean, I would say it depends on the individual and the relationship that the startup founder has. I think I would say it's good to have good people who are there, been with you for long, and to see how to accommodate them through any means. If they are, I mean, if they are, if the caliber and the, I would say, the temperament and the, or they, I mean, I would say the values mapping are correct. I think we should see how to kind of swim along with them, because that will help you scale faster. Otherwise, if you kind of you say, if you are just a cog in the wheel, then you can be, it doesn't work that way. If you give a message that you are just a cog in the wheel, that's, but if you send a message that you are part of something bigger, we are, that is turning out here, can you help me out with that bigger story, then it's fine. If you send the message that you can be replaced, yeah, then I works like you, I can be replaced, right? I mean, but if I am given the message that yes, we are here, maybe not today, but in couple of, if we stay the course, that we'll be part of something bigger. If we can reinforce that message and live to that message on a day-to-day basis, right? I think people that can be managed is what I feel. I feel, I mean, treating people, yeah, though today you may see people treating people as a commodity will help, but yeah, but see, it's like, it's a very delicate balance that you will have to strike. The balance that you have to strike is, somebody is, I would say, extremely good, and not in terms of, I would say, aptitude alone, or in terms of values, they are good. I think we should kind of see how to swim along with them. But if somebody has other expectations, it's better to move on than to hold on. I would say that that's a delicate balance. One only a founder can decide based on their own individual circumstances, rather than a strict formula working. I would say, in my view, if you expose people to a higher sense of purpose, they'll generally stick along, and they'll kind of, and if they see you living up to it, they'll generally stick along with you, and then they'll be willing to kind of forgo their short term, I would say, pain, is what I, it's my personal experience. That's my experience.
Got it, Sundar. I think I completely agree with you on this. It's about sending the right message. I have like my first employee is still with me actually. His name is Balakrishnan. He joined us on day one. The day he joined the company is when the company was officially founded. It's in June 2020, 2015. Been like 10 years, and he's still with us, and he leads the backend team actually. So I think it's about sending the right message to the team. I had kept on replacing, then almost everyone would be in enough mindset that, okay, we will also get replaced in a few years. Why give a lot to the company? Let's just stay average. Let's just say stay a median performer. Yes, I think that's a very good. Sundar. So Sundar, on the flip side, have you tried retaining someone for too long, even though they were an underperformer and compromised performance? Was there any such case? Like, for example, he's a good person, but he doesn't perform to the best extent you want, but you like something about that person and you want to retain him. Has there been such cases?
No, no, rarely no. I mean, because that see that it's like when we are continuously engaging, the feedback is, though it's tough, it's given, right? And well, it's taken with that sense of, I would say, if it's taken with that sense of ownership, because see, beyond a point, an individual cannot contribute in any system. They have to, I mean, contribute in any system which is very big, right? I mean, in a small environment, it's different, right? So they have to decide what's next for them, right? I mean, how so it's no point in see, if you kind of sit back and complain, and or I mean, if somebody becomes very, very, I would say, not willing to adapt and learn, they become and especially if they are in leadership positions, they become a bottleneck to their team, right? I mean, because they are not moving at a speed which they should be moving, and the speed of the team is determined by that person. So it's better to send a message that yes, it's not going to work out, and we can. I mean, we find safe alternatives. See, generally, we are not. I mean, in my view, I am not fired, but kind of I mean, I would say if somebody is kept for long and not expecting or performing delegate, what I mean, not now, maybe what in the corporate kind of setup, they have been moved to other places where they can perform well, they to their strengths, right? That's what we have done. But rarely I have been in environments that fired a lot of people because of non-performance, because it realigns. I mean, people generally need that break because it's like too long in something gives them that routine, right? So once you cut out that routine and put them in something new, they also want to show up that yes, they can deliver, right? So it's a I would say a cooperative effort between the organization and the individual to see what the strengths, what are they capable of, and give them kind of slightly better opportunities where they can excel. And sometimes they have excelled well, so it's sometimes they may not have, and when they are not there, they realize themselves and they leave out. But sometimes when we are moved, they have done extremely well. So it's good that way somebody is talking to them and we are telling you move out to this role, maybe it will be better, right? But very rarely we have kept somebody who have been in roles and become a pain. No, it's very rare. I mean, it's not that way we functioned. At least in my experience, I have not recalled anything. But what I have always found is somebody who is in that kind of role, you go and talk to them and challenge them, at least temporarily you will see a repay. And they may come back to their old habits, but it's like you have to reinforce that continuously till that pattern breaks, right? That's effort from your side that you have to take. Otherwise, it's easy to say, I mean, you can go, right? I mean, that's not what we want to say. We want to value the contribution that has been done, and there is a respect towards the past, right? It's not a function of just pure what can I do for you today and tomorrow, right? You have done something of value earlier as well, which is respect.
So if someone doesn't perform properly in one role, try aligning them to a different role. And still, if they do not perform, then you can take the decision. You don't fire directly just because they don't perform well in this role, right? That's a good, good empathetic perspective. So Sundar, speaking about this performance, say some leaders say that long tenured teams become more complacent and it reduces innovation. Have you seen long tenured teams where the innovation weakens, or is it the reverse mostly? How does it work in your experience?
No, I think, I mean, it's not a long or short. I would say it's the team itself, the what constitutes the team, who is kind of leading them, who is looking, I mean, whom they are looking up to, and what the person can do for the team, right? It's like a cooperative effort. It's like, I mean, it's that's why it's a team, right? So if they are brought into a shared sense of purpose every time, I mean, they deliver every time. I mean, a team delivers every time, right? I mean, it is a function of the leader there, right? And and that person has that responsibility to make the team function. It's not the number of years that you put in. Number of years you put in is good for the experience, the depth you bring in, I would say the charting out what all risks can come, all those things. But it's rarely, I would say, I wouldn't say it's the number one, the length is proportional to complacency. I wouldn't say it may be proportional to the lack of challenge that you give them, right? It's never to they don't they generally are not complacent. When you kind of raise them up to a challenge, they deliver, right? So it's not that. And even young teams, yeah, even then they may not be knowing stuff. They If they find, yeah, this is important, they kind of adapt, learn, and some they may make more mistakes, but that's fine in the scheme of things. So I don't think innovation, the tenure are linked in I mean, I'm just talking about my pure experience. I mean, if you ask me, I mean, for I would say for experimentation, I would go to a young person. For depth, I would go to a experienced person, because I know they would have crossed many hurdles, right? And but a youngster can perform at speed 10x of what I can perform. So it really depends on what I have at hand and how I kind of play I would say the circus is played, right? That's how I would kind of attribute it. And I don't think the tenure brings in complacency. lack of challenge brings in complacency, not the tenure.
Got it. So it's mostly about the lack of challenge and hardly about the tenure of the team,
Intent.
which caters to the innovation. Wonderful. Sundar, in your experience, which of these help retain people more? Culture, leadership, behavior, or operational systems? Which of this, if you want to pick one, culture, leadership, behavior, and the systems, which is the most important one for retaining people?
I think, in my view, culture has been the important thing, and culture still stays, in my view, the top bucket of culture that is aligned with my values is more important to me than anything else. And of course, the leadership makes a difference, but I would say culture plays a role.
Correct. So culture is more important. Understood. So, Zundab, as we are coming near to the end of the podcast, so I do not want to miss the trend that is now, which is AI on this. So now that AI is like completely rewriting the way we work, etc., and remote work, global hiring challenges, there are a lot of challenges in this industry, right? Do you think even in these challenging times, retention is still relevant as it was, say, 20, 30 years back, or the retention is may not be very relevant? Because I'll be honest, say I had a leader tell to me that AI agents have 100% retention rate. When you get AI agents with 100% retention rate, why do you have to worry about retention of people? This is some extreme thoughts some people have. So I just want to know your thoughts as in this new era, is retention still relevant?
I would say yes. I mean, because see, it's like, I mean, I'll tell you, I mean, AI alone can give maybe X, AI plus an individual can give 3X, right? And so if I retain that 3X over time, it becomes a multiplier, force multiplier that from a competition, it's very difficult to beat me, right? Otherwise, machines plus people, where people, I mean, the AI is a tool that accelerates, that acts as a force multiplier, but we need people who know how to use that force multiplier to create the impact that the organization wants to create. AI cannot determine what to create, right? I mean, AI can determine, can possibly do what you tell to do, right? I mean, that's how AI is, right? I mean, it can't determine, I mean, I can't determine I should maybe put my next investments in markets in this area is not something AI can do it for you. Once that is done, if I have to build something, maybe that's possible by AI. But the decisions that people can take, still only people can take. And I think AI plus people will be the force multiplier, and retention becomes all the more important because you would want somebody who is well versed in this, understand the AI landscape well, and uses that well to achieve your outcomes, achieve the combined outcomes of the organization rather than the agents themselves, right? And finally, it boils down to, right, will you hold an agent accountable or an individual accountable? That's how it boils down to, right? I mean, we all want whose neck you will catch. Will you go and catch the neck of an AI? I mean, it's not catching the neck. Where does the buck stop, right? Where does the buck stop? The buck stops with the people. I mean, the buck stops with me, right? In an organization, right? The same way the buck stops with an individual. We facilitate them with the tools and technology required to make them, I mean, see, like that, see, work is now, I would say, relaxed because of the tools, right? It doesn't have the pressure. Building has become, I would say, easier, right? And people can do other things. It's not like means you need to work that time. Earlier, the slog of 16, 18 hours, people can do better things with AI, with people, and they can have another life which is as meaningful as the life they come to the office, right? They can pursue their hobbies, they can pursue their creative interest, they can pursue whatever they want because AI is a force multiplier to their productivity, right? Why wouldn't you encourage such an organization? But it really boils down to one single question. I mean, who would you hold responsible for anything, right? So it's finally boils down to people, right? You will need the people who have that skills, who use AI as a force multiplier. That's how I see it. AI is a force multiplier. We need to embrace that and, I mean, make our customers more delighted in terms of value that we deliver, in terms of cost, in terms of efficiency, in terms of quality. And but people are the fundamental backbone. That's my take. That's will be always my take. Yeah, it simplifies things, but it's not going to know people, right? It's going to make them better.
So I think that's very reassuring, and you're absolutely right about the accountability part. So in fact, I was having a discussion with a client few days back, and they were saying that okay, now that you have AI, and why do you code so many hours? You can quote me half this price rate. And I was asking now, so what if there is a bug happening, or what if the scope changes and we couldn't finish, or what if the outfit given by AI doesn't match your capability? Are you going to ask the AI, or are you going to come and ask me? He said, definitely I'm going to come and ask you. Then you'll have to also take into account all those variables and then quote you. We cannot like assume that AI can complete this in 1 hour and just give you a quotation for 1 hour instead of like a traditional. I think accountability is still the key, and people still matter, at least even in the okay. So as a closing question, so I'd like to ask, when someone leaves your company after say 5 years or 10 years, what do you want them to say about you or your company? What you prefer they say?
I think I think they have to say the best time they had ever there was here, right? That's the only thing I say, and I am sure they will say. I have no doubts in mind that they will not say.
I'm sure they would also have learned a lot in that 5 years at Open Tough. Great. Okay, Zunder. Okay. So thank you very much, Zunder.
Thanks, Bala, and good luck with your book. And let me know when it's available. I'll buy a copy.